Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this 2-hour live finance team leadership workshop brought to you by FP&A Professionals Institute. My name is Dhawal Parvatikar, and I'm joined by my partner Asif Masani and my teammate Deepti Parvatikar. And we are here to present to you the finance team leadership workshop. Now, all of us as finance and accounting professionals, we are busy learning Excel and Power BI and all those fancy tools that are available in the market. But we kind of sleepwalk into managerial roles and ignore team leading, which is one of the most important corporate skill. And you will notice that the senior management, the C-suite executives, or the senior finance professionals are significantly earning much more than junior professionals, right? So that's our focus here today. So we look at some of the nuances of team leading and also understand why team leading is such an important corporate skill and how specifically finance professionals can develop those team leading skill sets. Okay, so let's dive into it directly. Now, first of all, thank you for your trust. On a Sunday morning, you've taken out your valuable 2 hours to spend time with us. So thank you for your trust and pat yourselves on the back for taking action. So this is the most important thing. A recent study says that less than 3% of the people take active action to develop their careers, which means that people just want everything to come to them and they don't want to put in the efforts. And less than 3% of the people are ready to put in the efforts. And you will notice that less than 3% of the people are leading the world's organizations, right? So pat yourselves on the back for taking action and make sure that you stay for the entire 2 hours. Okay. And we have a lot of ground to cover and it's going to be an exciting ride. So my name is Dhawal Parvatikar, 15 plus years of managerial and leadership experience. I'm a career coach as well. So my goal is to build the next generation of finance leaders. And I'm also the co-founder at FP&A Professionals Institute, and I've trained more than 5,000 professionals on various topics of FP&A, finance leaderships, data storytelling and presentations, business partnering, and much more. I'm a qualified chartered accountant and also certified general management professional from Indian Institute of Management, Ahmedabad. I've worked as a CFO and a finance leader in some of the leading companies in India and across the Middle East. Okay, so I have plenty of team leading experience as well as leading multicultural teams in multi-location setups as well. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. So before we start, some ground rules. I mean, I won't spend too much time on the ground rules, but if you're joining from your smartphone, that's completely okay. This is completely going to be a participative session. So although all of you are muted, just to ensure that there is no distraction, make sure that whenever I ask questions or whenever I want you to interact, please type your responses in the chat box. And make sure that you stay till the very end because I've got some special surprise for you after the end of this session. So I hope everybody is ready to kickstart their journey from an individual contributor to team leader manager, right? So if you're all up for it and full of enthusiasm, then just drop a yes in the chat box. Just drop a yes in the chat box. Let me see that energy. Let me see that enthusiasm. Okay, fabulous, fabulous. Right. To be a finance leader, right, you don't need more finance and accounting knowledge. So our focus here today is to make sure that you gain those frameworks and concepts about team leading so that you are able to become an effective finance leader or able to transition from an individual to an effective finance leader. So that's what we'll try to accomplish here today. Okay. So what are we covering today? We'll first understand why managerial skills are important. I'm sure most of you know it, but I'm going to give you 4 special reasons, 4 strong reasons of why managerial skills are important. Different scenarios of how you become a manager, and all these scenarios come with different nuances, different kind of challenges, and we'll address those challenges in the session. Mindset preparation for managerial roles. There is a significant difference between how an individual contributor thinks and how a manager thinks, how a leader thinks, right? So that's what we'll be preparing here. And I'll share with you a quick 3-step managerial framework or a formula that if you are a new manager or if you are taking on a new leadership role, then this 3-step managerial framework will help you take quick control of your managerial role. So that's what I'll be sharing in the later part of the session. And then we'll also look at some leadership checkpoints, what leadership is and what it is not. Okay, so many people have a lot of confusion about leadership and a lot of jargon out there. So let's simplify it and make sure that we address what core leadership and management skills are, right? So a lot of ground to cover. I hope you're equally excited as I am. So make sure that you stay till the very end. And I can assure you, I can promise you that you will come out much richer in terms of your team leading skills after the end of this 2-hour program. Okay, so let's dive into it directly. So why managerial skills are important? See, the quest to understand managerial skills, right, will be more meaningful only if you understand the why behind it. So why managerial skills are important. Let's spend a couple of minutes on that. Okay. I'll give you 4 strong reasons. And the first reason is specialist versus generalist concept. Now, see, there are 2 routes to career success. One is you become a subject matter expert or a specialist, so much so that people are ready to pay top dollars for your time. Think about top doctors, lawyers, top motivational speakers. They charge a hell lot of money for 1 hour of session or their 1 hour of consultation, right? So that's the specialist route to become successful. The other route is the generalist route, where you start climbing the corporate ladder, become a manager, senior manager, AVP, VP, become a CFO, CEO someday, right? So that's the generalist route. And the reason why I'm calling it a generalist is because a CFO is not a subject matter expert. Right? He knows just enough concepts to ask the right questions to each team members, to ask the right questions to the consultants, okay, and lead the team forward. Right? He's not an IFRS expert. He's not an accounting standards expert. He's not a tax expert, but he knows just enough to ask the right questions to the team members and lead the way forward. So that is what is expected of a generalist. So on the left that you see, the gentleman is Tony Robbins. Most of you might be knowing Tony Robbins. He's the world's #1 motivational speaker. He charges over $1 million for a one-to-one consultation, right? That's the expert, that's the subject matter expert route that you can take. But if you're not a subject matter expert, right, most of us are not able to put in that hard work to become a subject matter expert. So then generalist is your route. The gentleman that you see on your right is Louis V. Gerstner Jr. And this guy is the guy responsible for turning around IBM. During the 1990s, IBM was almost on the verge of bankruptcy. And this guy took over as a CEO. He came in from American Express Bank, took over as a CEO, and he completely transformed IBM in 2 years. And today we know that IBM is a thriving and growing organization, right? So that's what a generalist can do, right? He did not have IT experience. He came from a bank, but still he had that drive to kind of lead the team and make sure that he is able to turn around IBM. Right? So that's what a general skill can do. And team leading falls in the generalist skills category. Right? If you don't want to see yourself as a subject matter expert, a top-notch expert, then you will have no option but to learn generalist skills, and team leading is one of them. Individual roles hit a ceiling fast. Every company has a pyramid structure. All of us know this, right? And junior roles are mostly individual contributor roles. And as and when we start getting senior, it becomes supervisory or managerial. And at the senior most level, it is usually strategic or leadership oriented roles, where we are managing multiple teams, multiple set of managers, and all of that, right? So individual contributor roles, right, hit a ceiling. And at some point in time, you will be the most expensive individual contributor in the company. And you can be replaced by somebody who has less, 5 years less experience than you, and probably much faster, much efficient, much more knowledgeable than you, right? So that's why you have no option. If you want to survive in the corporate world, you have to start transitioning and aiming for that supervisory, managerial, and leadership roles in the medium to near term, right? That's what pyramid hierarchy does to people. Managers on an average earn 2 to 3 times more than individual contributors. I'll show you a quick salary comparison. Don't believe me, just believe the data that I'm showing you. I got some excerpts from glassdoor.com where you can easily get some salary benchmarks. Okay. On the left, you see finance executive salaries, finance associate, accountant, senior accountant, all these kind of salaries. When I searched, they were in the range of INR 4 lakhs to 6 lakhs, or maybe 3 lakhs to 6 lakhs. Okay. And on the right, you will see assistant finance manager, senior manager, and you can see that the range is much higher, right? It probably starts from 6 lakhs to, goes even up to 1 crore, right? So this is what happens. And this is not just in India. This is relevant across the globe and across sectors, across designations. Even if you're an engineer, a junior engineer versus a manager will be a very different salary comparison, right? So this should be enough for you to motivate why managerial skills are important, right? So make sure that you are able to do your own research. Don't just believe me. Go to Glassdoor, do your own research, and notice that managerial and team leading skills or roles are earning much more than 2 to 3x more, at least, compared to individual contributor roles. And leaders start as managers as well. So I'll bring you back to the pyramid hierarchy. The top management in any company, although they are leadership roles, right? So they are the C-suite roles. Their journey of becoming a leader has started by first becoming a manager. You can't be a CEO directly, you can't be a CFO directly. So you have to go through that grind of leading a small team. Probably you will become a manager and start leading a team of two people, three people, right? And then it keeps growing. And then once you become a vice president or a controller or whatever, maybe then you will manage multiple teams under you, right? So your journey of becoming a leader first starts by becoming a manager, right? And everybody has to take that step of becoming a manager first, and then you can climb up to the ladder of becoming a C-suite role. Yeah, I hope these 4 reasons are motivating enough for you to stay till the very end and focus on the concepts, the frameworks that I'm trying to share here today about team leading. Okay, and I was lucky enough to get a good manager, to get a good CFO under whom I have worked, who was really interested in grooming me to become a leader. Okay, but not all of us are that lucky, right? So we have to learn some things on our own, and that's why we all are here to learn this most important skill. Okay, now let's do a quick activity. Now, I want you guys to visualize that you are vice president finance in a company. Yeah, you're all vice president. Yeah, you have you have 2 to 3 team leaders or managers under you. Okay, and one of the manager quits the organization for whatever reason. Yeah, quits the organization, and now you have to hire a new manager or promote one of your team members to become a manager. Okay, you as vice president, now think like a vice president. What will you consider? Type your responses in the chat box. I'll take all the questions in the end because we are in a flow and I need to make sure that I cover all the concepts. We will have a separate Q&A session in the end. Yeah, you will have to hire or promote. Okay. Either ways, what will you consider? Okay, yes, you will promote somebody, but what will you consider for the promotion? Subject matter expertise. Skills is very general, so don't type general words. Specifically tell me how you will evaluate. Let's say, okay, let me give it a twist. Okay, let's say there are two potential candidates, yeah, who are individual contributors now, but they can be made managers under you, right? So what will you look at them? What skills will you look in them? Promote existing is fine, probably you will do that, but what will you look at it? How will you evaluate? Experience, people skills, communication, lead from the front attitude, right? All of these things are important. What else? Yeah, everybody is saying promote existing talent. I understand, but what will you look at it? There are 10 team members in your team, right? And you have to make only one team leader, one manager. So what will you look into that? Look in that person. People skills, deliverables, subject knowledge, attitude, stakeholder management. See, all of you are right, but all of you are right only in bits and pieces. Okay, all of you are right only in bits and pieces. So come back now, stop your responses, focus on the screen. Okay, I have been through umpteen number of promotion discussions in my organization, not just finance but others as well, as part of my leadership team. Okay, the only thing that senior management looks at when promoting a certain person is, you will be surprised by the response, that is readiness, right? You will evaluate that whether this person is ready to become a manager. Is he able to lead the team? Is he able to manage the team? Will the team respect this person if he is made a team leader? Right? Will he be able to gel with the team? Will he be able to control the team? All of these things will be evaluated by the management. So readiness is what they will evaluate. Now, how do you display readiness? If I'm an individual contributor today and I want to become a team leader manager, or if I'm a manager, I want to become to the next level, let's say lead finance, controller, VP, right? How do I display readiness? You will display readiness by taking on certain things which are way beyond your current role. It could mean a cross-functional project. It could mean managing a couple of interns as a dotted line reporting. It could be conducting an internal training. It could be, making your manager's life easier by taking on some of his responsibilities, right? All of these things become important. Okay, and that is how you can display readiness. And readiness is something which will get you promoted to the next level, whatever the role might be. while all of your answers were right, you club all of those responses in unison and see that what will make you ready, right? And that will give you our concrete answer of how you can get that promotion. Okay. Now here's an interesting quote, which is one of my favorite quotes, right? Every next level of your life will demand a different you. What a powerful quote, isn't it? So which means that I have to be first ready to claim that next level. I did not become a CFO directly. I probably started my preparation 5 years beforehand. I was doing everything that is required by a CFO. I read books, I connected with other CFOs. I must have spoken to at least 50 CFOs before I became a CFO. Right? I observed them closely. I saw what they are doing. I read books. I attended conferences. I tried to get into the circle. Right? There were so many actions that I took for me to land that CFO role, land that first CFO role. Right? And everybody expects, because I have completed 10 years, I should be made a manager. Because I just completed my MBA, I should be made a manager. No, you will have to extend beyond it. You will have to probably first display that readiness. You'll have to already reach out to the next level. And then probably the world will consider you that, okay, maybe let's give this guy a chance. Yeah. So remember this quote: every next level of your life will demand a different you, and that different you has to be ready before you actually get that position. In your mind, you have to be ready to become a CFO. In your mind, you have to be ready to become a manager, team leader. And then probably the world will give you that opportunity. Yeah. Okay. I'll take questions in the end. So let's not break the flow. I'll make sure that I keep enough time to attend your questions as well. The next thing is, there are different scenarios in which you will become a manager, and each of these scenarios will come with different set of challenges. Okay, let's look at them. There are broadly 4 scenarios. One is qualification to a manager, right? You're fresher MBA, fresh engineer, fresh chartered accountant, fresh whatever, right? And generally directly you're put into a managerial role, right? But your professional degree is not going to teach you anything about team leading. Okay. In that case, observation becomes your number one skill. Like, you have to start observing other managers, how they are behaving. Like, this happened with me. So I qualified as a chartered accountant. I was directly put into assistant manager role in Bharat Petroleum, and I had 4 clerical staff, and all of those 4 clerical staff were probably double my age. I was a 23-year-old young manager, and all of them were probably 45 plus. Yeah, been 20 years in the organization, and this happened with me. So the only chance that I had was that the other managers around me, the other senior managers and my boss, they kind of coached me how to deal with this clerical stuff, how to deal with these 4 team members that I had, right? And that kind of helped me. So that becomes your observation becomes your key. Start leading the same team. You're working as an individual contributor in one team, and your manager quits, and the management decides that you are now ready to take on the team lead role. So they'll make you the team leader. In this, remember, what will happen is, all of those team members who were your peers, who were your friends, right, with whom you used to probably bitch about your team leader, right? So all of those people will not take you seriously for the first few weeks, right? So you'll have to build that relationship. You have to build that equation, and you have to make your presence felt in that team. Everybody will start treating you with the same thing. They'll say, okay, our Dhawal is a team leader now, we can do anything we want, right? No. So you will have to probably keep subtly send that message that you are in charge now. Yeah. The third scenario is, start leading a different team, which means you're in the same company, you're working with team A as an individual contributor, and you're promoted as team leader of team B. Yeah. In which case, the most important thing that you need to remember is that there is somebody in team B who was eyeing for that team lead role. But instead, the management has decided to bring somebody from team A and make him the team leader of team B. So expect some level of friction, expect some level of non-cooperation in the initial few days. Okay. Now, you can't do anything about it, but you have to be aware of these things. If you think that the new team will welcome you, no, they will test you. They will test your patience at every level, right? And you have to prove yourself that you are the right leader. Okay, so keep this in mind. So somebody was aspiring to be a team leader there, but his chance has not come, but your chance has come. Yeah. The fourth scenario is, start to lead a team in a different company, right? Your team leader, let's say you're an individual contributor in company A, okay, and you saw that there is no progression happening and you are bored about it, and then you are now transitioning to a company B where you join as a team leader. They take you as a team leader. Okay. In this case, what will happen is your manager will assume that you know how to lead a team. Your manager will assume that you already know how a team can be functioned. He doesn't have the time to train you. He has hired you as a manager, right? He doesn't have the time to train you to become a team leader, right? So which means the onus is on you to learn team leading or to become a leader on your own, and then prove your point there, prove your mettle there. Again, like scenario 3, there will be aspiring team leaders in that company as well, that team as well. But the management is not trusting them. They have trusted you to bring as an outsider from some other company and make a team leader or a leader. Yeah. So remember these dynamics. Okay. You can't really do anything about it. You can't build that trust factor with the new team on day one, but you have to be aware of these things. Okay. So don't reveal all your cards on day one. Slowly build that relationship with the new team. Yeah. Okay. Now, what do you observe in these scenarios, these 4 scenarios that are discussed? 2 things. One is in 90% cases, you may not get to choose your team, which means if you're thinking that the moment I become a team leader, I'll select only A players, I'll only select best employees, this, that. No, none of that glamorous thing is going to happen. Right? You may get a chance to build your team or hire certain team members, but in most cases, you will be required to lead an existing team. Yeah. Again, in 90% of the cases, your manager will not have the handhold to train you to become a team leader. Once they hire you as a manager, as a leader, they assume that you already know how to manage a team. Yeah? Which means the onus is on you to equip all these skill sets. Again, this 90% is not a scientific number, but it's more of a, I would say, an intelligent guess, right? But this is what happens most of the times, right? People don't have time to handhold you. Okay. And you will end up leading an existing team, whatever the team might be. Yeah. Now, I bring you back to these 4 scenarios. No matter what scenario you become a manager or a leader, right? Or you join a new organization as a leader, right? The number one thing that you need to accomplish is build trust with your team. Unless the team is ready to trust you as a team leader, right? You won't be able to get that work done. Trust is the most important factor between the team and the team leader. Okay. Now that brings us to the next question where I need your participation. How do you establish trust with your team? Come on, type some responses in the chat box. You are a new leader now. You are a new leader who has taken on the role in a new organization. There are 10 team members sitting there, right? How do you establish trust with these team members? Come on, type your responses in the chat box. Being supportive, transparency, confidence. Okay. Being supportive to your team. Yeah. Better communication is general, very general point. I mean, it's expected, isn't it? Listening to your team members. That's a great point. Listen to your team members first. Don't reveal all your cards. Understanding their aspirations. That's a good point. What else? Active interest in their careers, in their growth, in their discussion. Yeah, maybe probably you can do that over a period of time, but not probably in the first few weeks. Try to be a crisis manager where team members need. That's a good technique, but you won't be able to handle all the crises, right? You can't be available for 10 team members for their crisis. But that's definitely a good point. Helping team prioritize their work. That's a very good point. That's it. Guidance wherever they're required. Ask their inputs in team meetings. Okay. Lead from the front, understand the capability of each team member. Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of you are thinking on the right lines. All of you are thinking on the right lines. Come back now. Come back and focus on the training. Yeah. Respect their experience, respect their existence, right? That's absolutely important. Now, there are dozens and dozens of ways to build trust. Okay. But in the interest of time, I'll just cover 4 techniques of how you can build trust with your team members. Okay. And I'll give you examples for that as well. First one is help your team, right? The number one way to build any relationship is give before ask, right? If they are in trouble, if they need some guidance, if they need something, try and help them, right? It doesn't mean that you start suggesting process improvements on day one. No, you're not required to be a process hero on day one. Just keep listening and help them. And I'll share with you one instance. So I was working with an advertising company, a large advertising company, and we had acquired a smaller agency. Okay. And this advertising agency that we had acquired, it had its own CEO, it had its own CFO, it had its own finance team. Okay. And my task was that I was deputed on this company to bring their processes in alignment with the holding company or the acquiring company. Yeah. So I used to, and that the company's office was at a different location, and I used to go to that office. Okay. And the moment I got into that office, the team used to get very secretive. Okay. They used to think somebody from holding company has come to boss around. Okay. And the CEO also trusted his CFO, right? Why would he trust me? Right. So they could not understand the fact that I'm there to help them transition their processes. Okay. So for the first 1 or 2 weeks, I saw that there is some resistance. I did not do anything. I just kept observing. Okay. I just kept observing. And I reported this to my boss, who was a CFO at that time. And I said that, boss, I don't think so. I'm getting the right kind of cooperation there. I said, how is that possible? Let me announce you as the new finance controller of that company, and all of them will report to you and this and that. His take was very aggressive. I said, no, don't do that. Probably it will increase more resistance. All right. Because I'm now have to work with them. I now have to work with them on a continuous basis. I need to build that trust factor. So let me do it my way. They said, what do you want to do? I said, allow me 4 weeks and I'll sit from their office, and then I'll work from their office and I'll not come to this office. I said, okay, do whatever you want. And then I started sitting out of their office and just observe what they were doing. And during their month-end close, they were doing a lot of processes manually. And I just simply helped them automate their process a little bit, simple pivot tables, macros, and that, right? And it saved a couple of man days for them. Okay. Helping them in their routine kind of helped me establish that trust. Yeah, and they started respecting me, saying that, okay, this guy is here to actually help us transition the processes and not just boss around, or not somebody who is a spy coming from a holding company, right? So I was able to establish that trust factor. 6 months after that, we moved them to the same building where the holding company's office was. I was named as the finance controller of that company, and I had beautiful relationship with the team as well as the CEO, right? So it'll take time, okay, but you have to be consistent in your efforts to establish that relationship. And once the trust factor was established, although many of them were older than me, okay, probably they had more experience than me, but they did not have any problem accepting me as a finance controller, because I had already proven my fact. I'd already proven that I can help them, I can lead them, right? So this is one example. I'm not boasting anything about my experience or tenure, but this is just an example of how you will be able to, by helping your team, you can build that trust. Be honest about it. Don't try and ask one person about the other person, right? Don't try and ask an opinion about A to opinion B, opinion about A to B and B to C and all of these things, right? So don't do that. Okay. As a new team leader, you will be tempted to do this, but don't do that. Take everything at face value. Take everything with a fresh eye, right? And don't get into that thing. Truly listen, right? And how can you truly listen? Again, I'll give you an example. So what happened was that there was this one guy, who was a very sincere person, and he used to come from a very far off place. In Mumbai, his commute time was probably more than 2 hours every day, right? And once what happened was that we were sitting on the lunch table, and I overheard him say to other colleague that, this Friday there is some award ceremony in his kid's school, and his kid has won some first prize or something, and they have invited the parents to come to the ceremony. Yeah, but he ended up saying that this is my monthly close, the boss will not allow me, so I don't think so I'll be able to go, and this and that. So I overheard this conversation. So after a while, I called him into my cabin and said that, you want to take a half day tomorrow? It's okay. Maybe you can come late and extend and finish your close. I know that you will close the books on time. So if you want to take that half day, attend your, kids' prize ceremony, then do that and come, right? This one act increased his respect towards me by manifold level, right? Next time, whatever I asked him, he was ready to fight for me, right? He was there. If I asked him to stay late, he used to stay late. If he had to finish a deadline, he used to there fighting for me. Right? That's what you'll have to do. Understand your soldiers first and cater to their needs. Then they will be ready to fight for you. Okay. So this is just one example of truly listening to your team members. Yeah. Give the benefit of doubt. If somebody says I'm on sick leave, yeah, or somebody says that I'm on this leave or I have some personal problem and this and that, don't dig too much into it. Okay. That's not how true leaders work. Right? Show me the certificate, which doctor, give me the doctor's phone number, I'll double check the appointment. None of your business. None of your business. Right? Yes, you may express your discomfort by saying that we really had to finish this urgent work. But if you can't make this doctor appointment, or if you can't change this doctor's appointment, I'm fine. Maybe cover it at some other point in time, or maybe extend a little bit late and then cover it, something like that. Right? Give that benefit of doubt at that point in time. Right? All of us have come across different kind of managers. Okay, some of them could be strict, some of them could be nice, or some of them could be, no, I wouldn't say strict, but some of them could be completely useless, and some of them could be nice, right? And even the employees as well, even the team members as well. Some of them could be genuinely honest, some of them could probably bluff every third time, fourth time, and I don't know, go watch a movie in the name of a doctor's appointment. But I can't control all of that as a team leader, and I have better things to do. As long as my work is being done, as long as the team is available for you to fight when there is crisis, right? You should be okay to accommodate all of these things. You don't need to dig deep into it. So give that benefit of doubt. So these are some of the things that you'll have to probably remember as a team leader. Yes, I saw some comment that somebody will take undue advantage. That all happens, right? Haven't you ever lied in the office that you are sick and then you went for a movie? We all have done that, isn't it? So it's okay. You can give that benefit of doubt. But that's what I said. In the medium to long run, your team should be ready to fight for you. As long as you're able to ensure that you can ignore these smaller aspects. Cool. So I hope this gave you some idea about how to establish trust. Now let's do a manager fact check or a leader fact check, right? So what leadership is and what leadership is not, right? Many times your career success will be a combination of three things: your qualification, your skills, and your experience, right? And it's you have to work on all of these three things simultaneously, right? Just qualification is not enough, just skills is not enough, just experience also is not enough. When that time comes, when the company is ready to promote you, they will look at all these three things. Yeah, so make sure that you are able to crack this combination and you're able to develop all these three things simultaneously. Yeah. Higher qualification does not make you a manager by default, right? If you're thinking that I'll do an MBA, I should become a manager, no, right? I have seen people who are not MBA and who are great managers and even risen to become a CFO as well, right? And I've seen that people who had high qualification, probably a double graduate or double post graduation, yeah, they completely sucked at team leading skills and they're confined to becoming an individual team leader, individual contributor. That has also happened. So qualification is not the ultimate thing. It's a combination that you have to look for. Sometimes you may end up with title managerial roles. Your title may be assistant manager, but you may actually not be leading a team. It's okay. Take that to your advantage. When you try and apply for a senior manager role, when you try and apply for a next managerial role in some other company, they won't come to know that you're not leading a team. And the way you can answer that is by saying that I have an assistant manager or a manager title. Okay. On paper, people are not reporting to me. They are reporting to my manager, but I have a dotted line reporting for 2 team members. Okay. And make sure that your answer is convincing, right? And make sure that you're already doing it, right? You don't need to lie, but you can mask the truth, okay, in your favor. Okay. So take advantage of it, even if you get a title managerial role. Experience is not equal to team leading skills. If you think that I have 10 years of experience, I should be made the team leader. No, right? People can be individual contributors for 20 years, right? As long as you are able to display that readiness and intention to become a manager, next senior manager. If you're a manager, then a senior manager. If you're a senior manager, then a controller, VP, whatever, right? And you're able to work towards that, okay? Then you have a chance of growing into that position. Yeah, so remember that. Just pure simple experience. If you do the same thing for 10 years, don't expect any different result. Yeah, every 2 to 3 years, you have to look for growth. If you're a manager, look for becoming a senior manager in the next 3 years. If you're a senior manager, look for becoming a controller in the next 3 years. I'm not saying you will actually become, I'm not saying you will actually get promotion in 3 years, but you should at least aim for it. Aim for a wider or a higher role so that you can keep growing, you can keep learning new things. Yeah? Now, some mindset prep. Let's focus on the difference between an individual contributor and a leader, yeah, or a manager. And then let's look at some of the mindset preparation techniques. Yeah. The first technique is observation, right? I observed CFOs, leaders so closely, and I learned so many things from my managers, from my leaders, right? That really helped me shape my career as a CFO, shape my career as a leader. Yeah. If you're not observing their skill sets, good or bad, whatever the case might be, if you're not observing, then you won't be able to learn, then you won't be able to develop it. Okay. Now that brings me to the question. Let's discuss a little bit of observations now. It's going to be interesting. Okay. I want you to type in the chat box. Okay. What is that one or two qualities that you learned from your favorite manager that you have worked with? From the manager that you liked the most so far in your career, right? Yeah, this is the guy that was a great manager. Probably I liked his this quality, X quality, Y quality. What is that quality? Type your responses in the chat box. This is going to be fun. See, people management skills is generic, right? But yes, it is a skill set, no doubt about it. Always appreciates juniors, fantastic. So what did you like about your manager? Come on, one or two things. I hope you liked some manager, you know. Although all of us think that our managers are idiots, you know, but that may not be the case every time. Attention to detail, getting things done, strong on technical skills, okay. Okay, to-do attitude, okay. Presence of mind, being aware of things, what's going on. Calmly handles team issues. Wow, that's a good point, isn't it? Being composed. A business controller needs to work as a spy in an organization. This statement was the biggest learning for me. Yeah, so maybe you have to keep an eye, being in finance team as well, you'll have to keep an eye on the other things in business, because any decision could probably have a financial impact, right? Providing space to grow, right? Remaining calm in crisis, patience, cheerfulness, long-term view, clarity in thoughts. Wow, there are so many things, right? There are so many things. Listening first, awareness, assertiveness, willingness. Wow, you know so many things and you have observed so many good points about your managers. Okay, now let's do the other way around. Okay, tell me one quality that you did not like about your manager, or any bad manager that you worked with. And this is probably the worst manager that I worked with. I didn't like his quality. I didn't like X quality or Y quality. Type that in the chat box. Aggression, micromanage, fake support. Wow. Egoistic, micromanagement, interference in everything, insecure managers, right? Not listening to others' views. Yeah, come on, some more. I thought you will have more negative points. Rigidity, doesn't guide, you know, poking his nose in everything. So we all hate such managers, right? No integrity, too much interference, playing double game without considering the team's talent. Okay, got it. Stop now, stop your responses, and then focus on the screen again. No listening skills. Okay. Now that you know some great qualities and some bad qualities in your managers and leaders, okay, I want you to make a pledge with me. Okay, I want you to make a pledge with me that when you take on this team leading managerial role, you will not repeat all these mistakes, right? You will not be biased. You will listen to everybody carefully. You will be involved. You know, you will listen to everybody's opinion. You will not have double standards. You will not poke your nose in everything. Okay. Now, after becoming a leader, I realized one thing, that sometimes you might end up doing all of these things subconsciously. However great a leader I might be, I'm sure my team members must also be speaking behind me and saying that he doesn't know anything. You know, he's a useless manager, right? And I'm okay with it. And you should also be okay with it, right? Because it's contextual, it is situational, right? You will probably do that thing because you felt at that time it was right, right? While be aware that you're not intruding, you're not micromanaging, you're trusting your team, right? Don't consciously make your team hate you, okay? But you can't be a nice guy all the time, right? That's a reality of being a manager, right? In the limited boundary that you have got, you have to be assertive, you have to be strict, you have to set standards, right? So be mindful of all of these things, right? So observations, right? I'm sure you'll take that pledge and you'll make sure that you'll follow or not follow all of those things that you did not like about your manager. Let's move forward. Yeah, we already did some observations about managers. The second mindset that you will need to be always ready for is that lead an existing team, right? In most cases, you will be given a team, right? And you may not get to choose your team, or you may not get to hire all of your team members. Maybe you will hire one or two team members, maybe you'll hire some team members, but not all of them. Yeah, so be ready to work with the team given to you. Yeah, be ready to learn managerial skills on your own. Probably in my career, I've worked with 15, 16 managers. Okay, out of them, how many of them were genuinely interested in my career growth or grooming me to become a leader? Probably two of them. Yeah, one of them probably 1.5. Yeah, so it's okay. Don't expect too many things from your manager, but you set that goal for yourself, that you will learn everything on your own, irrespective of it. That's the beauty of the world we live in today. We have probably coaches for everything. Yeah, there is LinkedIn, there is online courses. Back when we started, there was absolutely nothing. You have every support that you need there today. You have books, you have ebooks, you have influencers, you have coaches, you have trainers, you have online courses. Make sure that you are on your track to get that goal, irrespective of whether somebody is supporting you or not, irrespective of whether your manager is supportive or not. Yeah, if you get a bad manager, take that quality from him, saying that how to not become a bad manager, right? You know what not to do when you become a team leader manager, and move forward. Yeah, let's move forward. Okay, understand also that managing a team is not just about delegating or managing your own team. It's all about expectations management. Yeah, expectations from your boss, from your team, from internal stakeholders, that is your cross-functional teams, from external stakeholders, it could be auditors, consultants, government auditors, tax authorities, whatever the case might be, right? It's a balance. It's the task of balancing expectations from all these people. Okay, and I tell you something interesting. For your boss, okay, you are his team, right? Which means he is dependent on you for everything. He'll come and delegate everything. He thinks your time is under his control. Although you will have to now balance your team as well. You have to give time to yourself, your work, your team, and your boss, right? So you'll have to divide your time into these three things, right? And we look at some ways how to do that as we progress in this training. So understand that team leading or managerial skills is not just about delegating, not just about managing a team. Yeah? It's about managing expectations of all these stakeholders. Okay, cool. This is one of the testimonials that I got from one of my students, Ronak, and he was undergoing the leadership program that I conduct, and it was during that time when his manager, she went on a maternity leave, right? And he was able to convince his team, his vice president or whatever, to kind of make him the team leader. Okay, and he managed his team so well that once the team leader who was on maternity leave and she came back, they had to give her some other team to manage. They had to give her some other role to manage, right? So doesn't matter where the chance comes to you from and how the chance comes to you. Make sure that you're ready for that. Make sure that you're ready with your armor so that you can take on that role whenever that comes to you. Yeah, that's the point that I wanted to highlight. Okay, by now, okay, we know that managerial skills are important for monetary and professional progress. Yeah, all of us agree with that. Yeah? Managerial skills is something that in most cases you may have to figure out on your own. If you're lucky, you will get a great manager who is interested in you. If not, then you may have to learn something on your own. Now, knowing these two facts and knowing whatever we just discussed so far, okay, can you rate yourself on the percentage of readiness today? Today, if you're given a team leading role right now or tomorrow, yeah, what is the percentage that you're ready with? Give it a sincere assessment, okay, and type your responses in the chat box. Okay, I'm sure I was pretty sure some people would say 100%, which I'm expecting now in the chat box. Some people will say 50, 60, whatever the case might be. Come on, give a sincere assessment. Okay, and type your responses in the chat box. 60%, 90%, 80%, 35%. That's absolutely fine. There's no right or wrong answer to this. 70%. Yeah. How ready you think you are to take on a leadership role today? What is that percentage? Okay, 50, 70, 35, 70. Okay, so many of you are actually stating somewhere between 50 to 70%. So probably you might be at that stage where you have done enough as an individual contributor, and probably you want to transition to becoming a manager, or you're already a manager, but you are looking for ways to manage a team in a much better way. Yeah. So Sachin, I'll take all the questions in the end, please. So we are running against time, so we have to complete everything in one go, and then I'll have enough time for the questions in the end. No matter what percentage you typed in the chat box, okay, nobody will be 100% ready. Okay, so take your chances. There'll be no time when you will say, okay, today I'm 100% ready to become a CFO. Today I'm 100% ready to be a finance leader. Okay, that day will never come. It's like CA exams. No matter how much you prepare, okay, on the very previous day, you will feel that there is something that is left and some new thing will come in the examination and you won't be able to answer, right? So nobody will be 100% ready. Yeah. So team leading is a skills game. The more you play it, the more you will perfect it. So your objective should be to get that first team leading role as early as possible in your careers. After that, it's practice that will take you forward. Yeah. So knowing some managerial skills would make it easier for you to lead a team. Yeah. Knowing some managerial skills would make it easier. But today, we are here to go one step further. Knowing a framework will even make it smoother. Okay. So if you understand a team leading framework or a leadership framework as to what you need to do when you take on a leadership role, that will make it a little bit more easy for you. Okay. So that is what we'll now be discussing. We'll be discussing a simple framework, and it's called a 3-step managerial framework. And what are these 3 steps? Assess, organize, manage. Assess, organize, manage. See, now we are getting into the deeper part of the training. Okay. So I need your focus here. And the next 30-40 minutes is going to be crucial. Yeah. Assess, organize, manage is the 3-step managerial framework. So if I have to take on a managerial role today, if I have to take on a leadership role today, okay, what should I do? When I started thinking about this, okay, I was able to kind of structure it into this 3-step managerial framework. Okay. Now, what does assess say? Understand your environment, understand your company, your environment, your manager, your team, your processes, all of these things. And probably you will need the first 6 to 8 weeks to assess everything. Okay. Don't be a hero in the first 6 to 8 weeks. Observe calmly, right? Don't go for process recommendations. Don't go for process improvements. Don't say, in my previous company, we used to do this. In my previous company, we used to do this. Nobody cares. Okay. Observe carefully your team, your environment, what is expected of you. Okay. Be the first. Don't jump in to give recommendations in the very first 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. Build your ground. Stress test the pitch first. Okay. You can do some things well left. You know, if most of you follow cricket, you know what is a well left, right? The first 1 hour of the pitch or 1 hour of the day is very difficult to play cricket, right? So you have to do some well left and stay on the pitch first, and then you can start hitting your strokes. Yeah. Organize. Okay. The key to becoming a great manager is to try and put things on autopilot as much as possible. And we look at some techniques on how to do that. So probably the next 3 to 4 months after you assess things, you will need to organize yourself in such a way that you are able to put things on autopilot. And once you are able to put routine things on autopilot, then you will be able to generate that time to suggest any process improvement or recommendations or go beyond your role. Yeah. Don't try to do that on week 1. Don't try to do that on day 1. Yeah. First 3 to 4 months, take time to organize yourself and put things on autopilot. We'll look at how to do that. Yeah. We'll discuss each of these steps in detail. Just be with me for some time. Yeah. Then comes manage. Manage is all about building your relationship with your team, with your cross-functional team members, with your managers, delegating, and not just delegating with an impact, with an eye on impact and contributions, right? Anybody can manage a team, but if you can manage a team by contributing some positive impact to your company, that is when you will be recognized. Yes, this guy manages a team, but I think the process improvement that he has done on this XYZ has been simply amazing. So that impact and contribution can be done only when you are able to do the first two steps, right? If your attention is at 10 different places in one go, then you won't be able to focus, right? You can't do 10 process improvements in one go, right? So that's why I'm saying assess, organize, and manage. Let's dive deeper into each of these steps for a while. Okay, be attentive here. Let's dive deeper into each of these steps, and then we will reach some conclusion about the framework. Okay. Now, what do you do in assess, right? Understand your position and hierarchy. Now, these two are different things. In some organizations that I've worked with, okay, my title was a manager, right? But I was expected to behave like a controller. Okay. And my boss used to tell me, why don't you get that detail from other manager? I said, boss, he's my peer. He's at my level. How do you expect me to do that? No, that's all bullshit. You ask him, you write an email to him, and you get the data from that manager. Okay. But he's at my level, right? So in some cases, although my designation was a manager, I was expected to behave like a controller. Yeah. In some cases, although my designation was a manager, I was expected to act like an individual contributor. Okay. I was a manager. We had a team of 4 people. So me and my manager, both of us used to manage a team of 4 people, right? But when I delegated something to these 4 people, my manager used to get insecure. Although my title was manager and he was senior manager, right? So understand this equation. Position and hierarchy are 2 different things. Sometimes you are expected to do much more than your designation says. Sometimes you are expected to do lesser than what your designation says, right? So understand this nuance and then build accordingly. Look at the team, right? Prepare a team SWOT for yourself. Yeah, everybody will have certain strengths, right? And you'll have to observe your team over a period of time, probably 3-4 weeks. Okay, and then build a simple Excel SWOT analysis table. What are the team member strengths? What are the individual strengths? Somebody could be a good communicator. Somebody could have a good conceptual understanding. Somebody could have a good grip over legacy issues that have been running in the company, right? So what are their strengths? What are their weaknesses? What can be improved, right? So make a SWOT analysis, your own Excel sheet, your own table for yourself, right? And maybe you keep updating it. Maybe 1 year down the line, somebody's weakness might have turned it into a strength, right? So you can update it later on, but just prepare your team SWOT for yourself. Nobody else needs to see it. Yeah. Not everybody is equal. Don't expect everybody to be a superstar player in your team. That's not going to happen. And don't even compare all of the team members with that superstar team member. You don't need superstars everywhere. You just need the right guy at the right place. That's it. Now, whether they are a superstar, whether they can communicate, not communicate, whether they will sit there, put their head down and work, right? That's all you need to assess. You don't need every team member to be that superstar team member. Everybody can't be Virat Kohli in the team. You need a Rishabh Pant, you need a Bumrah, you need a Sehwag, you need somebody, right? So everybody cannot be equal. Understand your stakeholders. Now, stakeholders could be internal. Some other cross-functional team members may have a deep influence on your work, deep influence on your team and your team's psychology. And sometimes it could be external stakeholders, like it could be a consultant or a government executive or a government auditor, whoever the case. So understand who are your stakeholders and what impact, what influence do they have on your team, right? That is very important because that will help you manage your team in a much better way. Understand the deliverables. What are those top 4-5 things that are expected of you in this role? And who is responsible for it in your team? And if that person is not available, then who's going to take care of it? Yeah. Processes. When it comes to processes, you need to observe the processes first, not jump into giving recommendations. Don't be a process hero in the first 4-5 weeks. Observe first. In one of the companies that I worked with, okay, the company used to incur a lot of expenses, like the SG&A expenses, like sales, general, and administration expenses, not the cost of goods sold or not the primary raw material and expense. The overheads expenses that they used to incur, they used to not follow a purchase order process, right? They used to just send an email that, we need to incur these expenses. Somebody would approve it, and that expense is to be incurred. The invoice is to be received, booked, paid. Yeah, there was no purchase order system. And when I moved to this company, I saw that, how is this possible? There is no purchase order in this company. Now, I was coming from a company which was a large mammoth organization, too much process driven, right? And I started making a fuss about it. That, there's no purchase order system here. How are we operating here? I don't know who's paying what. I don't know who's incurring what expenses. And my team leader got a little bit nervous. And she was not from a finance background. She did not understand. She went and told the VP that there is something horribly wrong that is going in our company. Okay. And the VP was also not from a finance background. So he was from an operations background. And he called for a meeting. And there's this serious meeting that's going on. And both the VP and the team leader are looking at me saying, Dhawal, you told us that there's some fraud going on in the company. There's some. I said, no, I didn't say there is a fraud going on in the company. I said that we don't follow a purchase order process. And the VP operations told me an interesting thing. He said, why don't you do one thing, Dhawal? What have we missed by not having a purchase order system in place? Can you highlight that? Can you observe the data for the last 6 months? And can you tell me if something has gone wrong? Some funds have been misappropriated. Some expenses have been incurred, which was not supposed to be incurred. Something has gone above the budget. Something has gone below the budget. What has happened by not following the purchase order process? I said, okay, I can do that. I went back, analyzed last 6 months of data. I couldn't find a single flaw. Okay. Everywhere there were some enough checks and balances. Somebody was approving somebody else's mail. The invoice was being checked. The invoice was being approved by somebody else. So there were enough checks and balances, just that the purchase order system was not there. So it was a big revelation for me that what I am thinking as a standard process may not necessarily be suited for every company. A company can operate without a purchase order, without even a single flaw. Yes, purchase order is a best practice, but it can operate without a purchase order. That was a big revelation for me. Okay. And my bosses, not being finance professionals, right? It made me sound like I am, I'm observing some fraud that's going on in the company, right? And he escalated it to the CEO, right? So this is what this might happen if you are doing a premature recommendation of process improvements. So observe what's happening, what's going wrong. Yeah, if everything is okay, don't worry about process improvements. It's okay. You can improve that gradually, but you don't need to be a process hero in the first 1 week or first few weeks. Yeah. So understand, assess your environment properly, and then take the next steps. That brings us to the next step in the 3-step managerial framework. That is organize. Okay. The key to becoming a great team leader is being organized. So being organized is your superpower. Yeah. And how do you do that? There are some tips. One is scheduling. Okay. As Robin Sharma says, things that get scheduled are the things that get done. Okay. So schedule everything, even if it's a smallest meeting, put it on the calendar. Send an invite for that. Put a recurring meeting. Okay. Schedule as many things as possible. How many times have we heard our managers coming and say that, yeah, we need to sit on that. Maybe next week we'll set up some time. Maybe next week we'll set up some time. Yeah, we need to look at that also. Maybe next week we'll set up some time. Okay. And when I was an individual contributor, I used to always think that my manager always keeps saying that we'll sit on this, we'll sit on that, but we never sit together and actually look at things. Yeah. Why is he doing this? I only realized it when I became a manager, that I had some other priorities. Probably my boss is giving me some other priority, which my team is not able to understand. Right. And I also kept saying the same thing to my team. We'll sit on this next week. Maybe let's block some time next week and this and that. And that blocking of time next week never came. Right. So the key to get things done is scheduling. Schedule as much as possible. Yeah. Schedule as much as possible and make sure that you are able to turn up on those meetings. Yeah. 60 to 70% of the tasks need to be on autopilot. Now, what is this? This is the most important thing. Yeah. When you become a manager, team leader, right, you will probably have, let's say you are managing a team of 5 people. Yeah. Imagine what's going to happen if all these 5 people come every morning and ask you, Dhawal, today, what do we need to do? You have a role, you have a job description, do what your role is, right? If you don't put that checks and balances, if you don't put the things on autopilot, they'll always come and bother you, and your day will get consumed, and you will be able to do zero work of your own work. You will be able to do zero, right? And you'll get escalations from your manager. So make sure that your team understands what needs to be done. Morning, when they come and sit on the computer at 9 o'clock, right? They already should know what are the priorities. They already should know what they need to do in the first half of the day, right? schedule it for them as much as possible. Yeah. And I've done this so many times that whenever I hired a new team member, right, after a month or so, when they spend time in the company, I should say, okay, take me through your typical day. And most of the times I get an answer that this urgent email came, that I was working on this, then this urgent email came, then I was working on this. Bloody everything is urgent, right? So I told, no, don't do that, right? These are the first 2-3 things that you need to do the moment you come to the organization, the moment you come to the company. In the first 90 minutes, first 120 minutes, you need to accomplish this. And then you can look at emails, as many emails as you want. Yeah. So schedule it for them. And I'll give you a classic example, right? So every Tuesday morning, 11 o'clock, I used to check the contract tracker. Right? So we were a company who were operating in projects. So every time, so there was a project tracker that we used to maintain, that wherever the new pitches or new clients or new projects that are going on, and what is the status of it? Has the project been completed? Has it been invoiced? Have we received the PO from the client? Right? Is the contract with the client signed? All of these things need to be reviewed. So every Tuesday morning, 11 o'clock, okay, I used to open the project tracker and ask questions to my teammate. Now, I'm not going to tell every Monday, tomorrow is Tuesday, tomorrow is 11 o'clock, you need to update the project tracker. I'll look at it at 11 o'clock in the morning. No. Okay. For the first 1 or 2 times, I'll tell. Then it's his duty. I mean, it was a lady stuff. So it was her duty to kind of update it before 11 o'clock on every Tuesday. Right? And 11 o'clock, I used to just open the tracker, go through the tracker quickly, ask questions to her in 10-15 minutes. What happened on this client? What happened on this client? Maybe you should take a follow-up on this client. That's it. Chapter close. Move on to the next point. Right? Don't leave important things to chance. Schedule them for your team so that they can execute it on time. Right? I'm not going to follow up every time and say, okay, tomorrow is Tuesday. Tomorrow you have to update project tracker at 11 o'clock. No. Tuesday 11 o'clock is project tracker meeting. Thursday 2 o'clock is working capital meeting. Everybody needs to update their data during that time. Okay, I am not going to remind them. Maybe first 1 or 2 times I will do that. Yeah, so that's what I mean by putting things on autopilot. Put things on autopilot for your team so that they know what needs to be done. Right? Yes, if they have a question, then they can of course come back and ask me. If they get stuck somewhere, they can of course come back and ask me. But in 60-70% of the cases, they should be able to execute their routine tasks without my involvement, without my interference every now and then. Yeah. Build 15 to 20% flexibility in your tasks. Like all of us prepare to-do lists, but rarely we are able to stick to the to-do list, or rarely we are able to follow it. The key that I understood, and according to me, and what has worked for me, is that I build at least 15 to 20% flexibility in my to-do lists. Right? I don't say that 9 to 10 I need to do this, 10 to 11 I need to do this. Right? I just say that roughly in the first half of the day I need to accomplish these. I need to meet these 2 people. I need to send this email. I need to do this. And second half of the day I need to do these things. Yeah. Roughly you divide it into first half and second half. Okay. And then execute it. Keep 15-20% flexibility. Yeah. And it always happens that your manager may have something urgent which is not in your schedule. Suddenly your manager's schedule becomes your schedule, right? And you end up spending 20-30% of your time on supporting your manager. So that may always happen. So make sure that you keep some flexibility to that. Okay. One other thing that has worked for me in terms of preparing a schedule is that reaching office early by at least 45 minutes to 1 hour, right? If the office timing is 9 o'clock, I used to make sure that I reach office by 8:15. Yeah. Take first 10 minutes to kind of relax it out, come out of the commute stress, have a sip of coffee, plan my day to see roughly what needs to be done in the first half, what needs to be done in the second half. And for the next 90 minutes, I used to not look at my emails at all. The first 90 minutes, from probably 8:30 onwards to 10 a.m. I used to not look at my emails, and I used to do things what I feel are the priority for my role, what I need to do. Yeah. And 10 o'clock, I used to be available for everybody. Then my team used to come in. The CEO wants to discuss about Trump versus Biden, right? Whatever it might be, right? So I'm available for everybody. The team may come up with 10 different problems. I'm solving all their problems. If I don't do my task in the first 90 minutes of the day, that has worked for me because I'm an early riser. I like to reach early to the office and accomplish my things. Okay. But make sure that you are able to carve out that 60 to 90 minutes of focus time for your task. Otherwise, everybody else's task will become your task. Your team's task will become your task. Your manager's task will become your task. Some other stakeholders' task will become your task. And you will not be able to accomplish your own task. And you will end up sitting late. Okay. So make sure that you get that focus time. If you are an evening person, so maybe you can get that focus time in the evening. Yeah. But what has worked for me is reaching office early, making sure that I accomplish my first priorities, and then I'm available for the team. Yeah. Now, maintain a calendar to follow up on the things that you have delegated. Now, once you become a team leader manager, once you get a task to be executed, you will obviously look at delegating it to some team member. And once you delegate it to a team member, saying that, okay, hey, Mr. X, please take care of this. Let me know if you need any help. And once you kind of delegate it to a team member, you will assume that the team member is going to execute it on time. No, don't assume. Right? Make sure that you put it in your calendar to follow up with that team member. If some report needs to be delivered 3 days from now, okay, I used to put a reminder, at least 2 reminders in my calendar. Okay, and make sure that, hey, that report is due on Thursday. Are you ready with it? Do you need some help with that? No. Then the team member is to tell me, no, it's only 50% ready, so maybe I'll complete it and come to you and this, that. So I want to keep that soft check on that person, whether he's able to meet that deadline or no. Right? Don't assume that some report that needs to be delivered on Thursday, you receive that on Monday, and once you delegated it, it will go to the stakeholder on Thursday. Okay, you need to follow with your team members. Yeah, they may have some other priorities, who knows, and they'll miss this, and you might get a beating from a stakeholder. Yeah, always keep a backup player for all critical items, and if it's a lean team, then you may have to be a backup for all critical items. Every team or every role will have at least those 4 or 5 priorities, top 5 priorities that you cannot miss. You cannot miss that report on that Thursday. You cannot miss that report on this, or you cannot miss those things, right? What are those 4 or 5 critical items? And structure a backup mechanism for it. Sometimes your team member may be a backup. Sometimes you may be the backup for it, right? Make sure that you keep an eye on those top 4 or 5 deliverables, which are absolutely something which cannot be compromised. Yeah, I hope you got some tips and techniques about being organized. Yeah, so we'll move forward, and if time permits, then I'll show you a quick calendar that I normally maintain, and that has worked for me. I mean, you can use any scheduling tool or a calendar or an Excel calendar that has worked for you. Yeah, you make use of checklists, calendars, trackers, shared folders as much as possible, right? So that's how you can increase the efficiency of the team. That's how you can increase these days WhatsApp groups. So everything that we do to try to manage a team, we put it on WhatsApp group. Some deliverables, we put it on WhatsApp group, and the team will pick it up from the WhatsApp group. They will execute it. They will send the draft, and I'll review the draft on WhatsApp, and it's done, right? So officially, many companies don't allow WhatsApp. So make sure that you use shared folders, trackers, calendars, checklists as much as possible, right? And we bloody have a checklist for everything in the finance team, right? Month close checklist, budgeting checklist, compliance checklist, this checklist, that checklist, statutory payments checklist, right? So use those checklists as much as possible. Use those calendars, trackers as much as possible. Okay. And these things need to operate on autopilot. Trackers means it's not just a tracker. You build a tracker and you forget updating it. Right? No, you need to schedule it. When this tracker needs to be updated and who will review it. Right. And then you can be better organized. I hope you got some tips and techniques about how to be organized, because being organized is the key to becoming a good leader. There is no way you can be a leader by just managing your day in a very haphazard way. Next comes manage. After assess, organize, then we are talking about continuous management, right? The first thing that you have to realize as a manager is that curb that natural tendency to do everything yourself. Okay. When I was a new manager, and whenever an email used to come from some external stakeholder, I used to jump on that email and start doing everything myself. And my CFO used to ask me, why are you doing this? Why are you not telling your team to do this? Why do you need to get involved in this? Why is your team not doing this? Right? So curb that natural tendency to do everything yourself. When a new task comes to you, okay, evaluate who in your team can execute this. Okay, and then make sure that you give that task to the person. Okay, and if it's an urgent deadline, let's say if it's something which needs to be turned around in an hour or so, then I used to do it myself. But if I have a day, then I would definitely give it to my team member and see how they do it. Yeah, and many times what I've done is that if there is a new task that has come and fallen in our lap, we don't know how to do this. I mean, I also don't know how to do this. My team members also don't know how to do this. Right? then in that case, what I used to do is I used to delegate it to my team, depending on their skill sets and capabilities. I used to delegate it to my team. Okay, and I asked them to do it. But in parallel, I used to do it and keep it ready. Okay, and once the teammate brings it, I used to see whether he's able to progress 50%, 60%, 70%. Yeah, and then I used to give them tips and saying that, okay, these are the 2-3 things that you missed. Why didn't you update these things? And then send it to the team leader. I never told them that I was keeping the data ready or that report ready. Right? If you don't build those capabilities in your team, there will always be new things that will come and fall in your lap. Your to-do list will always keep increasing. Your schedule will always keep increasing. Right? Make sure that you are not taking everything on yourself. Right? Build the capabilities of your team. Let them be uncomfortable to some extent. It's okay. Maybe they'll progress only 50% for the first time. Maybe they'll progress only 60% for the first time. But the third, the fourth, the fifth time, they will execute it 100%. And your time will be saved. Yeah. Make sure that you curb this natural tendency to do everything yourself. Next is difference between a sports team and a team in your office. Now, this is a very interesting observation. Say, we all have played some or the other team sport, football, cricket, volleyball, whatever the case might be, right? So we all have played some or the other team sport. And a team sport, what happens is that the team has a very unified goal of winning the match or winning the tournament. Everybody is thinking about winning the tournament. Everybody is thinking about winning that match. Yeah. So there is a unified mindset. As opposed to that, a team in office is very different in the sense that everybody comes from different personal backgrounds and different personal baggages. Right? Somebody might be having a fight with his wife. Somebody might be going through a divorce. Somebody might be going through some financial problem in the at home. Somebody might be going through aging parents or health problems or something like that. Right? So everybody comes with their own baggage. Right? And imagine if you are a manager, right? Let's say if somebody comes 10-15 minutes late, okay, or let's say somebody walks into the organization, in the company, and you are a manager who starts saying, why did you not send that report yesterday? I told you to send that report yesterday. It was so critical. Now the stakeholder is escalating it to this and that. The moment that person walks into the office, if you start doing like this, right, trust is gone. Forget about trust. They'll start hating you every now and then. Okay. What is the ninja technique that has worked for me to lead effective team is that for the first half an hour of the day, keep things light. Okay. Once people come into the organization, come into the company, let them settle down. Let them have their sip of coffee. Everybody naturally has a 1 to 2 hour commute these days if you're staying in a larger city, right? Let them get over that stress. Yeah. For the first 30 minutes, I used to keep it very light. Hey, did you read that LinkedIn article that I shared on the weekend? How was your weekend? What did you do? Did you watch the cricket match? So for the first 20 to 30 minutes, I used to keep it very light. Why I do that? I want to bring them out of their personal misery and come to the office environment and forget all their personal baggage in the office environment. Okay. Then I can start asking them. Then I ask them that, by the way, that report was important yesterday. You didn't send it yesterday. I got an escalation. Can we send that quickly now? You see, as opposed to a manager, the moment that person walks into the organization, why did you not send that report? I told you this yesterday. How do you feel? Right? So keep this in mind. Everybody comes with different personal baggages. We can't solve their divorce problems. Okay. We can't solve their financial problem. We can't solve their health problems. We can't do anything about their aging parents. Okay. But the least we can do is keep the first 30 minutes light so that they can forget about these things and come to the office environment. Then let their mind come into the office environment first. Yeah. I hope this was valuable for you. Give your tasks to the most dependable person. Now there is a difference. Okay. Your best player may not be the most dependable player. Right. Your best player may not be the most dependable player. Play by their strengths. Okay. Now, what do I mean by dependable? Let me give an example. Okay. I had a mixed staff. One of them was very diligent in doing whatever was given to that person. Yeah. He used to put his head down for 2-3 hours. He can work with focus and he'll complete that report and he'll bring it to me. Yeah. He'll complete that analysis and he'll bring it to me. Okay. As opposed to that, there was one person who was very good at talking, right? Who was very good at maintaining relationships, who was very good at, speaking very softly and getting the information from somebody, right? That was his skill, right? Now, as a CFO, what I used to do that if I want somebody to handle a government auditor or a tax officer who's visiting the company, I used to send this talkative guy or the guy who talks well to handle these auditors. Why? Because I know that he'll handle these people, right? If I want some task which is on a priority to be done immediately, I want somebody to put his head down for 4 hours, 3 hours and do this task for me. I used to give it to the other person who was very diligent, right? So you need a mix of these people. You need a mix of diligent staff. You need a mix of street smart people. Everybody need not be street smart. It's okay, right? So the point that I'm trying to make here is that give the task to the most dependable person who can do that task for you in the most dependable, in the least problematic way. Give that task to that person. Focus on their individual strengths and then leverage it. Okay. You won't be able to make everybody a Superman, a super team member, right? But you can definitely play by their strengths and utilize it to your advantage. Yeah. There were a couple of enthusiastic team members who were always interested to do something new. Tell me, give me something new, Dhawal, I'll do it for you. I have some spare time. I have a couple of hours with me. Do something new. I used to give them tasks. It's okay, even if they make mistakes. Maybe they'll make mistakes for the first few times, right? So play by their strengths. What are their strengths, and make sure that you use it to your advantage. Never ever hold a permanent grudge. Okay, your team members will do mistakes. Yeah, that doesn't mean you need to label that person as a mistake, right? Yes, 1 or 2 times a person will bring to you, he has made some mistake in the Excel sheet, he has made some mistake in the report. Okay, that doesn't mean that every time you, third time, fourth time, when that person brings you the report and said, this guy will always make mistakes. If you start saying this to yourself, okay, you will manifest it, and that person will become that negative guy and he will always keep making mistakes. So don't do that. Okay, keep that mistake only as an instance, only to that extent. Don't take it home. Don't make it the character. The mistake is of that at that point in time and not the person, right? And in most cases it's a process flaw and it's not a person flaw. Okay, observe that. As a manager, you need to make your processes so idiot proof that people are not able to make mistakes. Give a template in such a way that he knows where to put what and he will not make any mistakes. Give your instructions in such a way that that person is not able to make mistakes. Ask yourself first if it's a process flaw or a person flaw. And in most cases, the answer would be a process flaw. How can you make it idiot proof? How can you make sure that this person doesn't make the mistake when he's compiling that data? If you're able to answer these questions, you will make sure you're not able to hold that permanent grudge. Don't take your grudge home, right? Every friction that happens in the company between your team, between your boss, between any of the cross-functional team members, it's all inside the company. You don't need to take it home. Okay, my boss, one of my bosses was a great mentor to me. He was excellent at this task. Okay, he used to be very strict for any negative thing or any mistake that somebody does. Yeah, he used to come and shout at people and say that, how can you do this and that? And a couple of hours down the line, he is meeting us on lunch table and he used to be so friendly. We couldn't believe that this was the guy who just thrashed us, a couple of hours before, right? And he was very good at this. So don't carry it home, right? Set high standards. That's okay. Okay, but you don't need to hold that grudge and carry that home. Yeah. So make sure you are able to do this. So these are some of the techniques that I had to share about managing the team, right? Out of that, the sports team or the environment, and how do you bring them out of their personal thing? That's super important, because that is how you can build a trust factor. You need a team that trusts you. You need a team that is ready to fight for you. Yeah, and make sure that you are able to build that level of trust. Yeah, you don't need to tell people that, no, today you have to wait. You have to wait till 8 o'clock and complete this and then go. Make it so interesting for them or so emotional for them that they will themselves come and tell you that, Dhawal, I know that you are waiting for this report. I'll wait. I'll make sure that I wait till 8 o'clock today and I'll complete this and go. That is the ninja technique. That is what I always aim for. Yes, I had to take some strict stands sometimes, I have told people that no, you will not go home today until you finish this. It happens, right? But in majority cases, I want to be that person for whom people are ready to fight. Yeah, for a leader whom I'm able to fight. And when I got bosses like this, I was ready. I was ready to wait till bloody 3 a.m. in the morning, complete this task and go. Because I trust my boss. I'm seeing him there. He's leading from the front. He's a great guy. Yeah. So be that boss, and not somebody who is delegating everything and going home at 6 o'clock. Cool. So this is the 3-step managerial framework. I hope this framework has given you some idea that if you are taking on a new managerial role or a new leadership role, follow this. Don't be a process ninja for the first 6 to 8 weeks. Observe, observe, observe. Shut your mouth and observe. Yeah, for the first 6 to 8 weeks. Then organize yourself. Put things on autopilot. Unlock your time. And then start managing your team with an impact. Then start contributing. Then start process improvements. Then start improving things. Then start contributing to the organization that what is expected of you. Yeah, assess, organize, manage. A simple 3-step framework. Yeah. Now, did you find the 3-step managerial framework helpful? What I want you to do is do me a favor. Just type your biggest takeaway from the 3-step managerial framework in the chat box. Your biggest takeaway from the 3-step managerial framework in the chat box. Is everybody around? There's no response in the chat box at all. Type your biggest takeaway from the 3-step managerial framework in the chat box. I just see one response for now. I'm not sure if others are still awake. Okay, more clarity about managing a team, or the managed step of the 3-step managerial framework. How to tackle a team smartly and calmly. Okay. Scheduling everything. Yeah, being organized is the key. Observe. Yes, don't be a process hero. Observe, observe, observe. Becoming a team player. Absolutely. Okay. Understand your environment thoroughly before taking the move. Human relationships are important. That's absolutely right. Okay, great. So come back and focus on the screen here. So we still have some ground to cover, and we still have more than half an hour, but we still have some ground to cover. So let's focus on that first. Okay. So I hope the 3-step managerial framework was helpful to you guys. Okay, and let's deal with some checkpoints. Okay, what we think leadership is and what it is not. Right. So most of us have certain misconceptions about leadership or leading a team. Yeah. So let's address them one by one and look at some of the checkpoints. Yeah, I call them leadership checkpoints. Yeah. So leadership is a social process, right? It is dealing with people. Okay. If you are somebody who doesn't like dealing with people, then you will have to learn to deal with people, right? And everybody comes with different background, different mindset, different upbringing, different culture, right? It's a social process. So you'll have to learn to mingle with people, work with people, see them, observe them, lead them, right? The second checkpoint is that leadership is a dynamic process and often non-binary in nature. We finance and accounting professionals are great with binary stuff. Tax is applicable, not applicable. Yes, no. In the rule book, not in the rule book. Accounting standard is applicable, not applicable. So we are great at giving a yes, no answer. The expense is covered in the budget, not covered in the budget. Right? But leadership situations are often non-binary in nature. You'll have to consider multiple points, multiple things, and then take that decision. Yeah. So start building this mindset of stop thinking in yes and no's and look at the overall impact, what's going to happen, and then decide. Yeah. Leadership is less about strong, charismatic individual and more about a group working together to achieve results. So everything, every content that you see about leadership out there, it all talks about how the leader needs to be, leader needs to do this, leader needs to do that, leader is this, leader is that. Okay. It's not about the individual. It's not about the leader boss. It is about how you bring this group of people together to work and accomplish something that you are set to do. Right? So remember this, it's not about the leader. Okay. It's about how you can bring people together. Okay. And if you can crack that, automatically you will become a good leader. Yeah. Leadership is a delicate balance of being strict and being friendly. I had to learn being strict the hard way. Okay. And I had absolutely no idea how to be strict, right? I was probably the softest guy. I'm probably the most, docile guy that you can meet out there. I was very soft. I didn't know how to be strict. If somebody used to come and tell me, Dhawal, this report is not ready today. Can I give it to you tomorrow? I say, okay, give it to me tomorrow. That's how I used to kind of manage it. It's only when I met a CFO, and then I started learning things from him that I learned how to be strict, and you don't need to be strict every time. You don't need to have a stern face and be strict every time. You need to be strict to maintain high standards. Okay. People cannot take you for a ride, right? That is where you need to display your strictness. Okay. Every other time you can be friendly. Okay. You have to stick to deadlines. You have to stick to processes. You have to stick to standards. You have to stick to company policies, right? There you can hold high standards. There you can be strict and you cannot compromise. Everywhere else, to maintain relationships, you can absolutely be friendly. You don't need to carry a stern face every time. Yeah, it's a delicate balance, comes with practice. So make sure that you are able to balance your head and heart. Yeah. Hire for attitude, knowledge and skills can be trained. Once you've established that this guy knows basic things, right? Check his attitude. Yeah. And then other knowledge and skills can be trained, because every company does the processes differently. Yeah. You can train the company, you can train the people for processes, but their attitude needs to be right. Right? Is this person coachable? The number one thing that I see when I'm hiring a team member is that, is this person coachable? Can I train him? Can I train this person? Or will he just apply his mind and he'll disrupt the team? Right? That's what you need to look at. If the person is coachable, if he's going to blend in well with your team, right? Everything else can be trained. The processes can be trained, the techniques can be trained, the technical skills can be trained. Yeah. Make sure that you remember this point. Leadership isn't a destination, it's a journey, right? It doesn't end the moment you become a team leader. It doesn't end the moment you become a CFO. It doesn't end the moment you become a CEO, right? It's a continuously evolving journey, and you'll have to always keep improving as a leader, as a team member, as a manager, as a team leader. Yeah. Okay, cool. After these checkpoints, let's do a quick recap of, we have a few more points to cover. So let's do a quick recap of what we have covered so far. Yeah. We started by understanding about mindset prep, why managerial skills are important, different scenarios in which you will become a manager, and what are some of the dynamics that you need to remember, right? There is somebody who's an aspiring manager, he may have a certain friction with you, right? The new team member or the new manager, the new leader who's hiring you, they may expect that you know team leading by default, right? So all of these things will have to be understood. How to establish trust with your team members, good versus bad manager, the pledge, remember? So we covered all of that in the mindset prep. And then I introduced you to the concept of 3-step managerial framework. That is assess, organize, manage. Assess your environment. Okay. Get organized, put things on autopilot, make sure that your team is organized. They know what to do when they come to office. Yeah. And manage a team. Manage a team is managing their mindset, managing how do you delegate stuff, managing according to their strengths. Yeah. And then make sure that you are able to get the maximum out of your team. A leader is somebody who brings the best in their team. It's not somebody who built the best team. Yeah. You need to understand how to bring out the best in the team that you have got. Right. So that is what manage is all about. So that's the 3-step managerial framework that I share with you. And then I also shared with you some checkpoints. That leadership is a social process. It's dynamic and often non-binary, a delicate balance of head and heart. Right. You need to learn to be strict when it comes to standards, policies, processes. Right. You need to be strict about it. Right. Right attitude, hire for the right attitude. Everything else can be trained, right? It's a journey. It's going to be a continuous journey. It doesn't stop at becoming a team leader. These are continuous things that you need to keep working on. Yep. So these are some of the things that we covered today. I'm sure we've covered a lot of ground so far. We still have a few more things to cover. So let's do that. Okay. I hope all of you are liking this training so far. Okay. So after this quick recap, now that you have learned so much about becoming a team leader, manager, yeah, now that you've learned so much about transitioning from an individual contributor to a manager, and you've also seen how it can be very rewarding skill set, right? How it can be a rewarding skill set, and you've already given you monetary comparisons as well as to how becoming a team leader can significantly scale up your pay scale or whatever you want to do, right? So knowing all of these things, right? How many of you would like to know more about team leading? How many of you like to understand more deeper about what I shared, right? How many of you would like to do that? Type a yes in the chat box. Okay. We are getting quite a lot of yeses. Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Now come back and focus. So while we can accomplish a few things in a 2-hour workshop, okay, it is important that you learn all the techniques and tips, okay, that are required for you to become a next level manager or a next level leader. Yeah. And what I've done is I've conceptualized everything, all the techniques in a finance leadership masterclass. This is a 4 weeks program, okay, which will help you go get from an individual contributor to a team leader and become a top level manager in your company. If you're a manager already, then it will help you become a better manager, better leader, and it will help you progress in your company. And this is a 4 weeks live coaching program called Finance Leadership Masterclass. 4 Sundays, 2 hours each. That's it. Okay, 4 Sundays, 2 hours each. Okay, and what is covered in the Finance Leadership Masterclass? Module 1 is all about preparing for a managerial role. And your preparation doesn't start when you become a manager. It starts way before you become a manager, right? How do you prepare for these managerial roles, overcoming mental blocks, understanding the manager mindset, all of that. Then transition from an individual to a manager or a leader, right? How do you build your resume? How do you answer interview questions? How do you lead your team? Or how do you kind of get introduced to your team? All of those things, preparing for manager interviews, all of that is covered in module 2. Module 3 is all about understanding your role, your environment, your company, your position, your stakeholders, do's and don'ts, processes, all of that stuff. Then module 4 is about understanding your team, building a SWOT analysis for your team, understanding your key deliverables, who can execute what, who can be your backup. All of those techniques are taught in module 4. Module 5 is all about being organized. If you see, module 3 and 4 are actually coinciding with the assess step in the 3-step managerial framework. Right? Assess step in the 3-step managerial framework. It's a deeper version of that. Then module 5 is about being organized, your superpower. How do you be organized? What are the productivity tools do you use? How do you put things on autopilot? How do you unlock time for value addition and your important projects? Module 6 is about building a great team. How do you hire? What do you look at when you're hiring a team member? How do you interview people? What are the key hiring considerations? All of that stuff is taught in module 6, which is building a great team. And again, module 5 and 6 are coinciding with the organize step in the 3-step managerial framework. Okay. And then comes managing at the team, building trust with your team. How do you build strong relationships so that people are ready to fight for you? How do you handle escalations? How do you handle a non-performer in the team? Right. All of these things are in module 7. And module 8 is all about improving from there. Right. How do you handle appraisals? Appraisals is not just some discussions here and there, right? So you need to know how do you handle their expectations. How do you then suggest process improvements, contribute to actually make an impact in your company, right? So that is what is managing. And again, if you see, these two modules coincide with the manage step of the 3-step managerial framework. Yeah. So we're getting deeper, much deeper into the team leading skills through these 8 modules. So all in all, 8 advanced skills to grow from an individual contributor or a manager to a top level manager, right? If you're already a manager, then to your next level, right? So 8 skills to go from an individual contributor to a top level manager. Now, does this involve a lot of work? Does this involve 50, 60, 100 hours of time investment? Absolutely no. Okay. What we are doing through this masterclass is that 4 Sundays, 2 hours each. That is 4 live sessions, 8 hours. And I've built this 8 hours in such a way that you will walk out much richer after these 4 live sessions, right? And it's only 4 Sundays, 2 hours of time commitment. Okay. You don't need to spend like hours and hours together to become that effective team leader. And I've put this in such a framework. It comes with decades of experience that I have built in, right? So I've observed so many different managers built with decades of experience, trained more than probably dozens of managers now, right? So all you need to spend is 2 hours a week, right? And does it end with the program? Absolutely no. So I will be available for you personally every month through a Q&A session where you can discuss specific things to your role or your situation that you are going through. Okay. Learn from practical experiences. I've built this program entirely on 100% practical stuff. No theoretical jargon, no theoretical bullshit. Yeah. 100% practical stuff. You'll get lifetime access to these lessons. It'll all be hosted on a portal. You'll have lifetime access to all the lessons, the frameworks, the Excel templates, the techniques that I'm sharing, everything, you'll get lifetime access to it, and also updates to this program. So tomorrow, if there are any changes, if there are any additions, deletions to this program, you will also get all the lifetime updates to this program so that you can start your journey from becoming a manager, to becoming a manager from an individual contributor. And you will also get a certificate for team leading skills from FP&A Professionals Institute, which is our training academy. So you'll get a certificate from a certified manager certificate from FPI Training Academy. Not only this, I've also got 5 special bonuses, but for the first 10 participants only. And now, what are these 5 bonuses? You will get an A to Z guide on how to become a bad manager worth 7,000 rupees. Now, wait a minute. What is this? How to become a bad manager? This is my guidebook that tells you what not to do as a manager. See, what not to do is also equally important, right? What are some of the pitfalls, the mistakes that you can avoid when you become a manager or a leader, right? That is what is captured in this guidebook. Get a complete list of powerful behavioral questions that managers can ask for hiring. I told you that you need to hire for attitude and everything else can be trained. But how do you hire for attitude? What questions do you ask? This guidebook will give you that complete list of behavioral questions that you can ask your team members so that you can hire the right person. You can hire that person with the right attitude and then build him to be a strong team member, right? You get this ebook completely free. Get an ultimate performance review guidebook. Performance review is not some discussion here and there on a table, right? You need to also give a written performance review that gets recorded, right? And people will recall it, right? So what you need to write in the performance review, how do you need to conduct a performance review? All of these things are covered in a simple guidebook, and that you get as a bonus completely for free. Get a complete list of 22 must-have skills for team leaders. Now, there could be hundreds of different skill sets out there, okay? But I've distilled the 22 most important skills for a team leader, right? And you will get access to this book completely free for lifetime. Apart from that, you'll also have private access to the FP&A Professional Institute's alumni community, where you can grow and network, not only in the field of management and team leading, financial planning, financial analysis, financial modeling, FP&A tools, Excel and presentation skills, generative AI. All of these things are what we are conducting in the alumni community. And all of us are together connected in the alumni group, and you can leverage that group. You can leverage that for your network as well. Yeah. So just don't believe what I'm saying. We have got dozens and dozens of testimonials. There are tons of people who have taken this program already, and they're able to significantly scale up into a good team leader, becoming a manager. And a couple of them have even scaled to a head of finance kind of a role. One of them is now leading a 40-member team, and I'm really proud of him. So this technique works, and I have implemented it myself dozens of times, right? So if you trust that process, then make sure that you go ahead and enroll into the Finance Leadership Masterclass, which starts on 18th August, which is next Sunday, okay, at 9 a.m. IST. 9 a.m. IST. Okay. Now imagine the value if you are able to transition to your next level. If you're a manager, then you can move to a senior manager level. If you're an individual contributor, then move to a manager level. Imagine the ROI of your transition to the next level, and it can be significant monetary gain, right? And this 8 hours of investment, I can assure you that it will be the best investment of your time. It will be the best investment of your time. And what is the monetary investment that is required for this Finance Leadership Masterclass? The total value of this entire program could easily be close to $1,000. Yeah, easily close to 70,000-80,000 rupees. But you don't need to pay that. Right? For all the workshop attendees, okay, we have a very limited period offer. That is, you will end up paying only 12,199 rupees. 12,199 rupees, that's roughly about $150. Okay. And in this, you will also get 8 advanced modules. Okay. A to Z guide for becoming a bad manager. I told you about this bonus. Complete list of hiring questions, ultimate performance review guidebook, 22 must-have team leaders ebook, and access to the alumni community. All of this for just 12,199 rupees. But remember, this is only for the first 10 registrations. Classes are starting next Sunday, 9 a.m. IST, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. IST, and I can assure you that this is going to significantly scale up your team leading skills. And probably this is the best investment that you will make, 100% guarantee. And if you don't find that program satisfying, if you don't find that program valuable, it's my guarantee, 100% refund, no questions asked. Yeah, that's the level of confidence that I have in this program. So what we'll now do is we will share the link to this program in the chat box. And please do take some time. The link to the program, the Finance Leadership Masterclass, will be shared in the chat box along with the coupon code, along with the launch coupon code that will help you get this program for 12,199 rupees. And that link is in the chat box, and you make sure that you grab those bonuses, and those bonuses are available only for the first 10 participants. Yes, Asif has posted the link in the chat box now. Asif, we need to give the coupon code as well, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just dropping the coupon code.
Yes. So the link is now in the chat box, and the coupon code will also be shared in the chat box. Make sure that you are the first ones and you grab those bonuses, which are available only for the first 10 registrations. Okay. See, the reality is that you may or may not get a boss who's interested in your growth. Okay. But you can definitely get a coach who is interested in your growth, right? So make use of that. Okay. It's over 2 decades of experience that I've clubbed in this program, comes with a lot of value and credibility, and a lot of people have taken this program. So make sure that you leverage this opportunity to enroll into Finance Leadership Masterclass, and you'll come out much richer in terms of your team leading skills over the next 4 weeks or so. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So while the leadership link, the enrollment link is in the chat box, and the launch coupon code is the chat box, which you can use it for now. We can take any questions that you might have in the meantime.